Nityanandam. So today I want to talk about a topic that is probably super intriguing for so many of you, as it was for me, as it still is for me. Um, I used to be actually a huge skeptic about this, about the topic of materialization. Is it actually possible to materialize matter out of what many people might say is thin air, but really out of energy, out of the formless, out of what is not perceivable? And obviously, I was always so fascinated by topics like alchemy, and I always felt like these things were possible, right? But then when it actually happens in front of you, it's like this weird mechanism where the mind just tries to block, say no, no, to deny, right? And it's actually such a sad conditioning. We've been taught to entertain so much fantasy, visualization, thoughts about our highest possibility. And when we're asked to visualize, we're like really into it, and then we fantasize about this like super cool person, super cool career, super cool abilities. When we see it in movies, we're like, oh man, like I wish that was possible. But then when your highest possibility is actually being shown in front of you, the mind will just start throwing whatever it can out there to deny, which is really, really sad. And actually, the Avatar shared this in a webinar a few months back, saying that whenever like an avatar lands on the planet Earth, its only purpose is to raise the whole humanity, to show humanity its highest possibility. But when that happens, all of a sudden, all the people who have been like fantasizing all this time, when it happens in front of them, they want to destroy. They try to destroy because they're so full of self-denial and self-hatred. And so this pattern actually is, extremely destructive. And I noticed it in myself as well. So I actually needed something really tangible to believe that materialization was possible. And so I'll describe my experience to you, and then I have a few pictures that I had taken when I was back in the Adheenam. So I'll include them in this video. But first, I want to share whatever happened because the experience was so tangible. There were physical symptoms, like many things happening, which made me feel like matter was being created, even though I couldn't see anything. So we were guided by Maha Yoga in the process. We had been initiated by Swamiji into the power of materialization. And then Maha Yoga was guiding us. And first, I don't remember the exact hand position. I would have to verify. But we had to basically create a womb with our hands and make sure that no light, no air could come through. Like it needed to be a very dark chamber. And obviously, like our hands were clean. Like there was nothing in the hands before we started the process. And then we were told to put that womb next to our Ananda Ganda, which is the space here. So we were told to put it there and to close our eyes. And all we needed to do was connect to the avatar and recall the most blissful moments that we had with him in his presence. Could be whatever. It's always, the connection always happens in a different way for different people. But so you had to just enter that space of intense gratitude and devotion and bliss and just stay there while making sure that no air or no light was entering the womb. And it lasted, I would say, about like 45 minutes, the process. And here's the cool part, okay? As it was happening, and I was connecting to Swamiji, I started feeling intense heat in my hands. intense heat, like really, really hot. Something was happening. Like when you turn up like to boil some water, like the temperature was really increasing and I could feel it. And then something happened that had never happened before. I started feeling like thousands of little cuts that were happening in the flesh, but it was not, I could feel it, but it was not bringing pain to me. It's like, it's almost like I could feel like it was painful because it felt like the flesh was separating, but my being was not experiencing the pain. So I don't know how to explain that in a better way for now. So these were the two things that were happening very intensely, and it was continuous. And towards the end, I was starting to feel like actually some energy was coming out of those cuts. Like I could literally feel with my eyes closed and the womb like on my Anandagandha, I could feel like something was coming out. So that was my experience. And when we open our hands, first thing I noticed, there was some kind of like a black substance that looked like a little bit liquidy. It looked like Jnana Anjana. For those who know what it is, it's an alchemy product. And I had not been manipulating this product before the meditation that day. So that's what I noticed first. But then, this is where like the most incredible part for me happened. In my hand, and I'll show you the picture. I believe it was like right here. There was an agglomeration of that substance that seemed to have formed. And in the beginning, when I looked at it, I thought that if I pressed on it, it was going to be liquid, like the rest of the substance that was on my hand, which I really recognized as being Jnana Anjana. But then when I pressed on it with my finger, it was actually solid matter. And when it happened, I was just like, I showed Maha Yoga, but then I was just staring at it for such a long time with such like mixed feelings of awe, of like just wondering. At the same time, I had felt like the physical symptoms, so I knew that something had been happening. But still, I mean, when it happens, you just have like this face, like, that was my face. And actually, one of my Sangha brothers, who is not too far away from me in the mandala, because we were sitting in the mandala, had the exact same experience. And he had the exact same matter, solid matter, that had formed in his palm. And so yeah, for a moment, we just looked at each other and basically like in pure awe saying like, how cool is this? And there's not much that we could say. I remember then, you know, they took pictures, and yeah, that was my experience of it. And actually on a separate time, there were dots of Bhasma, the Vibhuti, the sacred ash, that materialized in the crease, and you'll see the picture also, like in the crease of the finger, and I believe it was my middle finger, perfectly formed dots. And it had happened when the hands were together also, like in that womb form position. And like I said, the most like amazing part was that the dots were perfectly formed, and they just appeared like two dots. And I'll show you the picture as well. So, what I know from this experience that the avatar blessed me with is that materialization is not just a fantasy. It is possible. In my life now, it's more than just a belief. It has become experience. And I know many people that had similar experiences, but obviously it's even more epic when it happens to you, because then you're like, okay, well, I didn't do anything to make this happen, right? And what I understood from that experience was that it takes an extremely strong nervous system to be able to handle the tremendous amount of energy that gets triggered during the process, which allows the matter to actually completely form. Because whatever manifested in my hand was really like a beginning, like one of the really like low levels of materialization, because it didn't like manifest, you know, as a stone, like a precious stone or rudrashka, but still it was the beginning of solid matter appearing, yeah, and from the formless to form. And it takes, like I said, yeah, extremely strong nervous system. And this is what the avatar is doing for us with all the different process, initiations. You know, he's just strengthening that nervous system, because without that, you're very limited, in the experiences of consciousness that you can have. So yes, I'm definitely one of the blessed beings, and I really understand the importance of that nervous system. I appreciate every time that I get shaken out of my comfort zone, because this is really the way, right? This is really the way to expand, when you're being shaken and when you're being given the powerful cognitions in order to get to the next level. And that's what the avatar is doing, right? Because he's not only shaking us to the core, he's also giving us the right cognitions, the powerful cognitions, so that we can evolve super quickly. So hopefully you found this like really interesting. I mean, I'm totally fascinated by this topic, and like I said, I don't just believe anymore, I have experience. So Sakshi Pramana. Share your thoughts. If you've had similar experiences, please share in the comments also, and I'm excited to hear what you have to say. Thank you. Nityanandam.